All right, all right. Welcome back to the world famous Tipitinas. Thank you so much to Tipitinas for letting us use the space. Thank you to Nugs.net for letting us use the equipment, and I hope you are enjoying this on Tipitinas.tv. Today we have Tanner Logan upstairs controlling the cameras, and special substitute Ace is back here doing the sound. Congratulations, Ace. You got the sound rolling for us quite nicely, filling in for the great Pete Jones. We miss you, Pete. We'll have you back soon. Let's go ahead and get to the program, though. You know my guest today as the lead singer and trumpet player of Flow Tribe and their brand of backbone-cracking music, and you may also know him from his work with Sabotage, the Beastie Boys tribute band, as well as KC and the... crap, I didn't write it down. What was the name of the... Irresistibles.
Sure.
KC and the Irresistibles, sorry. He recently celebrated a birthday, and he's a Kennebra that made good, ladies and gentlemen. Help me welcome Casey O'Rourke.
Hello, great to be here. Thanks for having me, Tank.
Welcome,
It's
man.
a pleasure.
Yeah, dude, sorry. Kennebra that made good, is that right?
Oh, Kenner, yeah, exactly. You know, I was always on the outside looking in, growing up in Kenner, Louisiana, seeing the sights and sounds of New Orleans, and always trying to claw my way in there. So finally in New Orleans proper. But yeah, grew up in Kenner by the casino, airport, mall, the
totally.
triumvirate. So
The
you need those things.
Kenner's coming back, all right? Kenner's back.
It's back, baby.
If you hadn't heard, Kenner's back.
It's number one.
Casey O'Rourke stands for Kevin Christopher.
Kevin Christopher.
I know you're Italian, but that is probably the most Irish-sounding name I've ever heard in my entire life.
That's true, Kevin Christopher O'Rourke. I mean, it blows my mind. I don't know how. I guess my grandpa was the only Irishman in the bunch, but, you know, he just jumped on the pile last, and I ended up with O'Rourke. But,
Okay.
yeah, everything else is Strapolo, Caruso, so it's just this, like, I'm this hidden Italian with an Irish last name.
Nice,
So.
under the radar.
Under the radar, yeah.
For sure, that's good. So, like I said, you're the trumpet player. How did you start playing trumpet? Do you have musicians in your family?
I don't really. My dad played piano when he was young, and there was always a piano in the house. But yeah, I had a great band program I went to St. Clement out in Metairie, so Canada Metairie, stepping it up a little bit. And yeah, this guy Michael Genevieve, who played with Pete Fountain, he was the trombone player for Pete Fountain, and he was just an amazing band director. And it was one of those places where band was cool because band got to go on like to Disney World and these fun field trips. So everybody was in the band, and for some reason or other, I don't know why, but I just gravitated towards trumpet, and pretty much ever since I've been playing it. And I didn't really play in high school, but when we started the band, you know, towards our senior year in high school, I was like, I think I can play the trumpet.
You didn't play in high school.
I didn't want to do the marching band stuff, even though that's a huge part of New Orleans culture.
Yeah, I was going to say. Like,
I just wanted to get, you know, have a good time with my friends at the football games and stuff like that. So.
All right. So you didn't make the band, is what you're trying to
I
tell
got
us.
cut.
Okay.
It was a tough one. Totally got axed. No, but I went to Brother Martin, and they have a great,
Yeah, I was going to say, we do the Marty Hurley benefit
Yeah.
every year, and I know how influential he is to a ton of musicians in town. Stanton Moore of Galactic,
Right.
most notably,
Definitely.
for at least directly with us. I guess I had always assumed, since I know you guys had played that before.
Yeah, and we love supporting that. I mean, his wife is awesome, and really the whole Brother Martin alumni gets behind that, and it's a great thing. I mean, what he done, and I'm not very well versed in like the drumming, you know, world, but supposedly he created this kind of snare drum, and I'm probably getting this wrong, but it was just like revolutionary. But he taught I don't know what it was. It was like a curved, it was like a marching snare drum, but somehow it was like an actual brand new drum that he patented. But working with him, see, in high school I was like the pep rally guy. I was a student council president and all that
was
stuff.
in my notes to
I don't
bring
want
up.
to
I'm glad you
brag.
brought it up.
Yeah, I don't want to brag.
Brought it up.
5 years in a row, folks. But so for me, I had to work with him on some of the like, hey, can we do this? You know, the entrance theme from Top Gun or whatever. Just like pitch these ideas. And he was such a like. I'm very animated, and he was very like, okay. I couldn't get anything out of him, but like later talking to him, he'd be like, that went well. I'm like, this guy is, he was a genius. And yeah, anything we can do to help out Marty Hurley and the work that he did, it's always just been a pleasure to be a part of that. So it's a good group of people.
For sure. Well, the rest of the band, when you guys got together, you all went to Brother Martin except for John Michael, I guess, right?
Yeah. And I knew John Michael from being a student council nerd at Jesuit. So I knew he played harmonica. We were friends through that. But yeah, we all would get together in Chad Pino's backyard after school and just jam. This was like our senior year, after we had graduated, and just jam and mix it up. And, by the end of the summer, we're like, we're actually writing songs, in this weird, primordial state. But it was just like we are doing something, and we love doing it. And it was just crazy to every day go back there, and none of us really knew what we were doing.
Well, what was the spark to start doing that? Because you said you weren't playing trumpet in high school.
Right. I think Blake definitely was the most well advanced like musician at that time, so he could play stuff, and then Chad just kind of picked up on bass, and Russell Olshner, our drummer, was a student of Marty Hurley too, so he was a great, I mean, he was probably the best musician in the band, and so I don't know, it just kind of coalesced. There wasn't a real rhyme or reason. I would say marijuana was a large part of it. You'd just be like, this sounds great, man. Like, we're really doing it. And then, but, you know, I think anyone in the entertainment business, you have to start out kind of with that delusion of, you know, you're terrible. Like, there's no way when you're starting out that you're good. And when you listen back to the old recordings, you're like, yeah, you're not great.
No, but you guys and 3 or 4 close friends are like, oh, man, you guys are killing it.
You're better than Tommy. Yeah. So it's like, you're always better than that one guy. So that gives you a little hope. But yeah, you have to have kind of blinders on to be like, well, I know I'm not great, but it's responding with some people, and I really love doing this, and I think that's just kind of how it grows up, because unless you're a psychopath and you're like, I am Prince, like I've done it. I don't know how that would work, but yeah, you have to be a little delusional.
Did you guys play any gigs while you were still in high school? I guess this was the summer right after graduation, before,
Yes.
And y'all had scattered a little bit to go to college. Not everyone stuck around town.
That is correct. Yeah. So we did. I think the first gig we played, me and Blake Quick of the Quickening, we played a gig. It was like this, I don't remember, it was like Field Day or something, and Mario Palmisano, like our current guitarist, he was in a band called the Snuffleupagus Guys, and me and Blake were a duo called BC, Blake Christopher, and the Stoned Age, and I was, yeah, I mean, it's just, a lot of it revolved around marijuana, pretty much. I mean, a bulk of my existence
That's okay.
has been, look, you do what you have to do. But anyway, that was high school, man, and I had a great time. But yeah, so we did play in these weird incarnations for this band ended up, and Brian Santos, our other guitarist, and Russell Olshner, they played in a band. I don't remember, their band name was terrible. I don't remember that. But so we all played this Field Day concert at Brother Martin, and then later a lot of those guys in those bands would form Flow Tribe. So it was just funny to look back on and be like, it was always kind of in the air, you know, at least in the beginning.
So who picked the name Flow Tribe? How'd that come up?
I'm pretty sure I came up with that. We were like, once again, 18, 19. I'm like, you know, because a lot of our music, or especially how I write, is very improvisational, at least with the lyrics first. And even with the music, to where it's like, we'll just be jamming on something, record that, and then go back and listen and be like, this was good, let's lose that, and then write from there. So it's just an interesting process. So that's where like the flow came from, and I would just kind of make up lyrics on the spot. And then Tribe was just, we were all very similar but also different. Like Brian Santos, Cuban. I mean, everyone came from kind of different backgrounds and things like that. So yeah, so it was just kind of Flow Tribe, and you know, all band names are inherently dumb. So at a certain point, you're just like, this is what it is.
That comes up almost every time I ask someone. They're like, oh, we hated this. Like, I had Reggie Scanlon from the Radiators.
Right.
They hated that name. Like, they're like, we'll just use it for now. Like, because they've come up with 20 different other names.
There's never, I mean, if you think like the Beatles, like that, what is that?
Yeah, and it's misspelled. It's like, what the hell?
I mean, the Rolling Stones is cool, but that was a Muddy Waters song.
Yeah, I was going to say, they ripped that off a little bit, too.
Everything, I love the Stones, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, without Muddy Waters and the Blues, they would not have been a band.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. So, like I said, you guys scattered a bit. 2004, you graduated high school. You went to Bama first, right?
Roll Tide sure did. Home of the national champions. Watch out. Did it again, boys. Yeah, I did go to Alabama for 2 years, and that was 2004 to 2006. And then when Katrina hit, my parents' house in Kenner flooded, and my grandparents' house out by UNO got pretty much destroyed. So I was coming back and forth every 2 weeks. I was like, this is just not going to work. And my heart was definitely in New Orleans, too. I wanted to be back. I didn't know what I could do or anything, but it's just like this, you know, the city means a lot to me. And
well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I was going to get into, like, you're of a generation, people that were only a year or two or even their freshman year of college when that hit in 2005, like, it was so terribly devastating for the whole area, just to think like, man, I miss it so much, and I'm so sad that it's gone. literally just physically being there will help heal
help.
my heart at the very least.
Yeah, for
so,
sure.
Was that sentiment the same with all the guys? Because some of the guys went to LSU
Definitely.
and Mississippi. Like,
Yeah, Blake was in Hattiesburg at USM, and then Russell and Chad were working actually in construction. So, I mean, they had tons of jobs, cleaning up and stuff after. And then, yeah, John Michael and Brian were at LSU. So, yeah, it was just this pull. And especially with the guys at LSU, it wasn't a big deal. They could come in, Baton Rouge. But for me, Tuscaloosa was 4.5 hours away, and I loved it and had a great time. But I was just trying to find ways to come back. Luckily, Tulane was they were just reached out to everybody. They were like, hey, if you had applied and got in, whenever you applied.
Yeah,
like,
pretty much almost any Louisiana resident.
Hit us up. And so I ended up, getting a scholarship for Tulane and doing that, and that was fantastic. So, as much as I loved Alabama, and it was a good time, but New Orleans was where I needed to be at. And
well, what were you studying when you went there first?
I was studying communications and public relations.
Okay. So you still I'm just kind of wondering how taking a jump into starting the band up for real, like taking a step in, like, hey, this is going to be a thing. We're not just messing around in the backyard anymore.
Exactly. Just lying to my parents. I mean, that's all you had to do. I was like, hey, I'm coming to New Orleans. I know I want to do that whole communications thing, but now I'm going to just go to Tulane and do the band. But really, I'm studying communications.
Yeah.
And,
I have a communications degree from Tulane as well.
It's great.
I think it's in the closet. I don't remember where I left it. Hasn't really come in handy too often.
But it's nice. I had a good time.
No, it's a really fancy, expensive piece of paper, that's for sure. What about the other guys? Were they all studying music at all, or was it more?
Really, yeah. Everyone just kind of was self-taught for the most part. I mean, like I said, Russell had been in the marching band, and I mean, I had music education when I could read music from being in a band in elementary school, but for the most part, everybody was kind of self-taught. I think Brian Santos was in the jazz band at Brother Martin, but not the marching band. So it's kind of this loose smattering of like, you have some background knowledge in it, but a lot of it was just, I mean, Flow Tribe is so much built around feeling and just how does this resonate with people and with us. So there wasn't that Loyola, pedigree or these like jazzers, I went to UNO jazz school, but no, we did not. But Mario actually did go to.
So he was in the Loyola music program.
So I guess there's a little bit of that.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's kind of interesting. What were the first kind of gigs that you were getting when you would come back? How long did it take to put the band back together, man?
We're doing it, putting the band back together. So what we did was, we came back the summer of 2006, and our buddy was working at Friar Tuck's.
Oh, okay.
So, right, of course. I mean, we're 18. We're going to Friar Tuck's.
Yeah, if you wanted to have drinks and you were not 21, Friar Tuck's
was your
that.
place.
Nick's on Tulane. Like, I have no problem calling out all kinds of places that don't exist anymore.
They don't exist. So, but it was notorious. So our buddy Robert Bruce, Peachy, goes by many names. He was like, hey, like nothing goes on Sundays at Friar Tuck's. Do y'all want to just set up and play? So like, yeah. So basically every Sunday night in the summer, we would play at Friar Tuck's. And it was great because, I mean, literally people would walk through you to go to the bathroom, buy cigarettes, do the whole thing. But it was wonderful because it kind of gave us this excuse to like, we almost started playing shows before we even had our songs really figured out. I mean, looking back on it, we were doing like a lot of covers, but we were just kind of learning on the job, which was crazy. And it was almost like boot camp because you're dealing with, the worst drunks, like crashing in, every night somebody's spilling Red Bull and vodka on your amp and everything else. But it was a great experience, and for some reason I was always like, let's just do. I just had this feeling like if we just have shows, then like everyone will have to do it. So even if everyone was into it, but it was more this thing of like if I just book shows, then we'll have to practice and we'll have to get this thing going, and that was kind of. We were doing shows before we were really ready to be.
Well, no, I mean, do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Like some people, because I've talked to some people, like, oh man, we practiced for a year before we ever played in front of someone. Or do you think it's good to just kind of get out there and fight or flight, like pressure under fire, whatever you want to call that?
I'm all about faking it till you make it.
Oh, yeah, dude, what do you think this is?
Right.
What are we doing
Let's just do it.
What are we doing?
And then see what happens. That's kind of been my motto for most of life, so it has worked out. I get it, but at the same time, people get so precious about it. It's like, look,
Yeah.
if you're really going to be a musician, you're going to be playing these songs, you know, thousands of times. It's going to be good, bad, whatever. So just get out there. And I'm sure it's probably the same way with stand-up comedy and stuff, too. It's like,
Yeah.
you just got to get all those shows under your belt so you feel comfortable. But in retrospect, it would have probably been nice to have a little bit more. You know?
Well, I'm sure there's no one that was at those early shows at Friar Tuck's and they see your name on the bill and they're like, Flow Tribe, dude, I saw them at Friar Tuck's in 2006. They sucked.
suck.
Like,
Yeah,
no one's
exactly.
saying that.
So you're not holding on to that, are you? Please.
No one's. And
I mean, anyone that was at that show, those shows, I mean, God bless them if their brain cells are still.
yeah, they're probably so
Functional.
drunk they don't remember there was a
Right.
band.
So that was a nice. I kind of knew that the day after, no one really remembered anyway, and
That's hilarious.
but it's
Well,
debauchery. Yeah. So like stuff like that. We used to play at the Nutri-Ground Coffee House. You know,
yeah.
we did the open mics there, and it was these little things like doing that. Like the guy that ran it, Philip Melanson, who's like a piano player around town, like great guy. But I remember doing that show, and he was like, I don't know what it is. He's like, y'all have something. He's like, take this as a compliment. I don't really know how to say that you're very bad right now, but there is something going on here that you guys could work on. And hearing that from a accomplished musician like very early on, you just need those third-party endorsements to be like, am I okay? Like, you know.
Well, dude, I don't think that's a stretch at all. Just because I remember seeing you guys 10 plus years ago, maybe at a homegrown or something like
Sure.
that. Might have been the first time I saw you. Don't remember, but I don't remember being blown away. Like, oh man,
This
these
is
guys
it.
are the best musicians. Like, that's a party. These
Right.
guys put on a party when they play, and that I think is probably is. I mean, was that the idea at the beginning? I guess because I've never seen a show with you guys where it wasn't a party.
Right.
Like, you guys don't play any chill shows.
No,
you
it
know?
doesn't. It's not Sarah McLaughlin. You know, God bless her. I will donate every time I see that commercial. But it is a little bit more high energy.
Yeah.
And I think just growing up in New Orleans and seeing brass bands and different things like that, it was always like, we can't pretend to, like, we're from the suburbs. Like,
Yeah.
we're going to play in New Orleans. Like, we got to bring it. Like, so there's always been that vaudevillian kind of theatricality associated with it. I mean, not over the top, but we were genuinely like having a blast. And so
No,
we're not
it
really,
shows.
Yeah, we're
It
not like
shows.
faking anything. It's just it's nice to have that communion like with the audience and everything else. And yeah, for us, I mean, for me especially, it's always been like I want these people to come back, so I'm gonna do whatever I can to entertain them. And I am genuinely having a great time. Like, I have a lot of anxiety like off stage, and I think for me, like being on stage, it's a weird kind of controlled environment where it's like, oh, I'm in public, but I don't have to deal with anybody, and like they have to listen to me.
Yeah. I have the microphone. I have the power.
don't, right.
You're stuck down there.
So
Yeah.
I'd feel so comfortable. This is years before I really got a handle on it. I'd be like, I feel so comfortable on stage, and I can be around people and not be all like weird or whatever, you know, in my mind, you know, how I thought I was being. But yeah, it was a great release, and you know, it's just been such a fun adventure. And for us, yeah, we just never want to take the crowd for granted. You
No,
know, especially in New Orleans, it's like there's a million places you could go. So if you're spending your time.
Well, you're absolutely right.
You know,
A
you
couple
gotta bring
things that you touched on. You know, the anxiety off the stage. I think it's, you know, even 15 plus years doing this professionally, like, you still get nervous before gigs.
Oh, yeah.
Like, every time I see you before you're about to go on stage, you're pacing in the alley.
Just
Like,
ripping cigs. yeah.
like, oh man, is anyone there? It's like, yes, they're in there. Like, you're not playing to an empty room. Like, I know that's the big fear. Because
Right.
I've heard stories about even, you know, the guys at the top, the Stones or the Ozzy Osbournes, whatever else, they get nervous that people might not show. Like,
And you know, some of our best musical memories happen here at Tipitina's. Like, this place has been crucial for our development, and just we love this is our favorite stage to play on. But Tipitina's has that quality where it's like it's home, and you know, I know all the door guys and love you guys and everyone else, and the bartenders and sound guys. But then when you're playing on Tipitina's, it's like you can't. Like, you can't, like, a bad show at Tips would, like, really hurt. You know, I don't think we've ever had one, but...
I don't think so either. You have a live album from here?
Right,
From
no,
Free Friday?
But it's just that kernel of thought that, like, the people that have played this stage, and, like, you know, you just... For some reason, hometown shows are just that extra layer of... I don't know, because they've seen you, so they're measuring you against
Totally.
your
Well, I
past.
was going to say, I just happened to... The memory crossed my head, and it might have been for the one that the album, the At Capacity
Yeah.
album. I think that was the night that we kind of broke the rules pretty stiff and went crazy on capacity. Not at capacity, like beyond capacity,
Right.
like capacity times 2 or something like that, where it was a long show, and it's not that there was,
was
ever 1,500
unsafe,
people in
yeah.
here at once, but over the course of the night, there was, there's always 800-ish people in here. So when they're just coming and going, grabbing one drink and leaving, like the Free Friday crowd tends to sometimes, I think we had like 1,600 people through the door.
Wow. I remember you showing me the clicker. And
Yeah, I was
being
going to
like,
say, I remember
I
just
think we have
because...
a picture of that on the maybe in the album or something.
Well, yeah, that was one of those things where it's like, I don't think we ever clicked that many people in one night before.
That's amazing. I mean...
So, well, aside from that memory, I've seen you on here with Mannie Fresh, and I've seen you perform on here with Alan Toussaint.
Wow.
I was going to say, those would be two, and I know you worked with Mannie on an album and whatever else, but getting to play a show with him, and then also Alan Toussaint as well.
Oh, my God. I mean, that was for us, I mean, that there's just no one else that kind of encapsulates that New Orleans, because that's kind of the music that we're trying to make, where it's like rhythm, old school kind of rhythm and blues, soul, and I mean, he personified New Orleans, and he was such an architect of that sound, and just he worked with the Meters were his backing band.
Yeah.
I mean, the man is a legend, and probably the best to ever do it, as far as I'm concerned, as a producer, writer, just total package. So that story is hilarious, because that was actually our best memory and our worst memory at Tipitina's.
How's that?
Believe it or not. So that was our CD release party, and our manager at the time was like, "Look, I work with Alan Toussaint's son."
It was the Boss CD?
That was the Alligator White. That's
Okay, all right, yeah.
This was the EP.
Yeah.
And our manager at the time was like, "Hey, like I work with Toussaint's son. There's a chance that he'll be in town, and we might be able to get him to play a song with you. Like, I'm not promising anything." I was like, "Look, I don't care if you do anything else for us.
We will stop the show."
Right. If you can get Toussaint to play a song with us, that subsequently he was fired later on. Side note, the guy's terrible. I'm not going to mention names. But he did do one good thing for us. I mean, legally speaking, I can't get into it. But he did do one good thing. You want to hear about the music business? So he did line that up, but it was always like he might show up. We don't know. It was very much up in the air. So a week before, he's like, if you guys did have him sit in, what song would you want to play? Or what song? We kind of figured it out, and he's like, "Oh, Last Train." That was a song that,
Awesome
we
song.
love that song. I think we could pull it off. John Michael plays the washboard. Like, it'd be kind of cool to incorporate that. So we've been practicing Last Train like every day for a week, just like he might not come, but we don't want to look like assholes. So
Keep it in your back pocket.
right,
Yeah.
if he does come. So I just remember the night of the show, they're like, "Yeah, we're not sure. It's 60-40. He probably won't come, but just in case, let's set up a mic and set up everything." So I was super nervous that night. Yeah, definitely puked before the show. I remember my girlfriend at the time, real sweetheart, like, gave me a kiss before. I was like, this is a keeper. But she was also fired 6 months later. So these things happen. She's a real sweetheart. God bless her. So anyway, the night of the show, I'm super freaked out. I'm just like, God, I hope this happens. But I'm also nervous. So we're in the middle of some song, and then all of a sudden you see, his famous, what was
The Rolls Royce.
Rolls Royce,
Wait, no, was it a Rolls Royce? It wasn't a Rolls
yeah,
Royce.
I
It
think
was a
it was a Rolls
Bentley.
Royce.
Was it a Bentley or a Rolls? Ace, do you remember? I think it was a Rolls Royce.
Okay.
It was a Rolls Royce.
But I mean,
Yeah, it was a Rolls.
unmistakable. I mean, the license plate says music, and I just see it like roll up, on the outside window. I was like, okay, this is happening. And so he comes in dressed to the nines and just looks fantastic, just like the elder statesman of New Orleans
Yes,
music. Just
absolutely, yeah.
Emperor of the universe, my musical hero. Everything's going great. I'm like, this is the best night of my life. Like, it's just gonna be fantastic. So he watches us play a song, and then he kind of motions like he's coming up. And I'm like, all right, like turn to the band, I'm like, all right, guys, we're gonna play Last Train. It's gonna be great. And they're like, yeah, we're ready to do this. So he sits down and looks at us, and goes, all right, and just starts playing some song I had never heard of ever. And I'm just looking at him. And I'm like, I'm not going to tell Alan Toussaint to not play whatever he wants.
I think you're getting the intro wrong,
Yeah, I was
Mr.
like,
Toussaint.
sir. So he's playing some song. He just starts singing, having a great time at Tipitina's. I'm like, what is this? Like, and I'm looking around. I'm like, just start playing drums. Like, I have no idea. So I'm just watching, like, my hero, like, look at me, like, challenging me in the eyes and be like, pick it up, motherfucker. like, I'm Alan Toussaint, like, you better figure this out. And so, like, I just see, like, my dreams, like, crashing before me, like, I am a fraud, like, I'm gonna be exposed in front of everyone, in front of Alan Toussaint. He's gonna come, like,
this is my last gig, ladies and gentlemen.
exactly, I'm gonna be totally invalidated. And he's looking at us like, come on, y'all. So luckily, 15 seconds, like, you're shot.
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
I just looked over at Mario, and he's like, I think it's an A. It's like, I mean, he just made up a song on the spot, which was awesome. So we did that, and I'm, like, sweating my ass off and feeling so many different emotions. And he's like, all right, thank you so much. And I went over to him like, we're playing Last Train. I was almost a brick on stage. But he was so nice, so gracious, and then he ended up playing Last Train with us. But it was such a hilarious moment because it's like everything's coming together. Why are you playing this song that we have no idea what this is? But he was all, I mean, and that's how it is. It's like New Orleans musicians like, okay, yeah, I'm going to come play with you, but like, do you really have your like, can you roll with the punches? And man, that was a wild night. But definitely that was probably one of our best memories at Tipitina's. And then we played that one show with Eric Lindell where your boy from Creedence Clearwater,
John Fogerty,
just in the audience was like, hey, now I'm going to play 3 songs. And just crushed it. So, I mean, stuff like that, that's what happens at this place. I mean, it's hallowed, it really is. It's crazy.
No, man, it's bound to happen eventually. That's a great story, man. That's a great story.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think the last, you guys played right before Mardi Gras, I think was probably your last gig here, right? So one of our last dozen-ish shows before the ultimate pandemic shutdown. So yeah, man, you guys have played every type of room from dive bars to the Kennedy Center and big, massive festivals. I mean, is there any type of stage that you don't like playing on at all?
No, as long as there's people, I'm cool. Yeah, obviously it's nice to play places like Tips, with great production and everything else. But sometimes those intimate shows, like they get wild and you get a different vibe. I mean, it's just one of those things where you might do well in one city, but then when you're on the road and you're trying to break into a new market, welcome to Columbus, Ohio. No one knows who you are.
Yeah.
So you just have to kind of roll with the punches. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like, as long as people are paying attention and give a like, that's, give me 5 people that care,
What were some of your early markets outside of New Orleans that were hot for y'all?
We did, because Blake went to USM, which is in Hattiesburg, so we would do Hattiesburg. We didn't really do Houston that much, but like pretty much along the Gulf Coast, Hattiesburg, and I would play Tuscaloosa because I had some friends up there. Pretty much, basically the SEC, do
totally.
SEC tour, and then do the Gulf Coast, do like a residency in like Destin, Florida, Pensacola, and then that was just an excuse in the summer to, spend a couple days.
Yeah,
at
go to the beach. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was awesome. So yeah, just kind of that, and then you just gradually, expand more of Florida and more up the East Coast and stuff like that.
I was gonna say, how long till you guys started going like beyond our
Just
little
that.
region?
I would say probably, I mean, if the band started in 2004, we really kind of got going, 2006 after Katrina and everything. So I would say about like 2007, 2008, like we would branch out because I guess the furthest we would go would be like UGA because we would play tons of fraternity, sorority parties. I mean, that's what kind of would pay the bill. We were all living together. I mean, it was a mess. And so just like this constant, just, living in this house uptown and in Metairie. And everything we did was just putting money towards the band. And so we would play these fraternity parties, and that would pay for like a sound system so that we could play more fraternity parties and just keep it all in-house. But yeah, we'd go up to UGA in Athens, and then I think that was close to Atlanta, so we'd do Atlanta. But yeah, I would say probably like 2011, 2009, we would start branching out. And sometimes we'd just be like, all right, let's just go out there and see what happens. I mean, when you're 20 years old, you're not really thinking like you have a family or you have kids or anything to. So
when you guys were hitting the road early, you were doing all the booking?
Yeah, for pretty much, I don't know, the first 5-6 years, I was doing the booking, management, doing the banking, just doing everything because I would keep getting fired from all these jobs. I'd work someplace for like 3 weeks and they'd be like, you're doing tons of phone calls and emails and like not, and especially back in those days, it's like you had to call these people, all day, every day, email and bug out of them.
Yeah.
It's because they're like, well, I don't know who you are, like, and it was a little bit different. So it was just that grind of, constantly reaching out and trying to get with other bands to open up for them and stuff like that to where I was just exasperated one day. I'm like, guys, I cannot get fired from another job. Like, this is just killing me. So I'm just going to manage and do this, and you guys pay me, out of that. And so pretty much since then, which I would guess would be around like 2010,
Yeah.
And then we would gradually branch out and bring different people on and stuff. But
What kind of jobs were you working? Besides, what jobs have you had besides musician?
Okay. Well, I worked at this advertising agency that was great. Like initially right after college, and I was like, oh, this is kind of what I went to college for. And then the owner was embezzling. I'm like, things are good. Owner embezzled money and all this stuff. I was like, oh, that's over. And then I worked selling door-to-door, selling this thing called the radiant barrier, which is essentially this piece
What is it? Yeah,
of
explain
aluminum that you put in your attic, and that lowers the heating cost of your home. But people were like, why am I going to buy it from you when I can go to Home Depot and get it for like people knew what the scam was.
Oh,
And,
so it was a scam.
I mean,
Gotcha.
kind of, sort of. It was just kind of stupid. Like, it actually works, but... So I did that. I mean, so many different stupid things. I mean, I was a bartender for a while. Bartending was great, but I just didn't know what I was doing. So I was like, who wants a Jack and Coke? You know,
Yeah,
that's-
right. Just selling Jack and shit. Yeah.
It's like, I respect the profession, but I was not the best at it.
Where were you bartending?
I was bartending at a place called Uptown Cajun, which no longer exists. But
Was that on Oak?
Well, yeah, it was on Oak.
Okay, yeah.
Wait, was it? I was on Maple Street.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So, shout out to the Uptown Cajun family. But
I was gonna say that's long gone. I think
that
it's
is- yeah. That was a mess. But yeah, just different things like that. I'm trying to think. I mean, there was so many other just stupid endeavors. But yeah, I just finally got to the point where I was like, this is, mentally I can't keep playing this game. And if we really want to get somewhere, someone has to do this full time. So
There is a gig here that we didn't bring up yet. That was back from 2010.
okay.
I remember it like it was yesterday. And you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about in just a second. We had been reached out to some producers for a little TV show called The Real World.
Oh wow, how can I forget?
Have you forgotten?
I kind of forgot. That was a career maker.
So if anyone doesn't know, I was going to say, like, a lot of this stuff, maybe there was a little bit of a spark around 2010.
Sure.
Or whenever that went to air.
Didn't do a thing.
It didn't do a thing? Didn't move the needle at all?
It didn't move the needle. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, that was such a fluke situation. We had met them. We had played a show at Blue Nile maybe like 6 months before, and they were there. And it was funny because at the time, us and the Revivalists, I mean, we're still really good friends, but we would switch back and forth. We'd open for them, they'd open for us. And not the case anymore.
Yeah.
But,
It's like, hey, you guys in the Revivalists,
Hey, if you guys
you're
would know
welcome
for-
to open for Flow Tribe
yeah,
whenever
we're
you
not,
want.
We're not doing that. But no, great dudes. But we would kind of tour together and do different things. And so they went on before us that night, and they got off, and then we had just started, and then all of a sudden I see these like cameras come in, and then I see the guys in Revivalists being like, "Are you serious? Like they're gonna film Flow Tribe? Like we just went on,
We just finished.
missed the opportunity." But so I could tell what was going on, and I was like, "Let me just talk to this girl." She was very attractive as well. So I went over there and talked to her, and she was like, I'm a singer. Like, I just want to sing. I was like, oh, okay, great. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, look, if we can somehow shoehorn ourselves into this thing, like, that's a story.
You're gonna put us on national television?
Right,
Is
right.
this happening?
It'll
Yeah.
be great. So I ended up becoming, her name's Sahar, very nice person. Ended up becoming friends with her and like going to her house and just hanging out. I didn't want to be on the night vision. That was, I was like, if my mom sees me on the night vision, it's going to be over. So I think I had a girlfriend at the time. I don't know. But who cares?
Irrelevant, yeah,
doesn't
irrelevant. They put you on TV, and then she, sorry to cut you off, but they did end up coming here to film, and I was very hesitant because I didn't know, I hadn't seen them around town. I had only heard stories
Right.
like in the paper or whatever else that apparently this crop of kids from the real world are being a bunch of assholes and causing a big scene around town.
Definitely were.
And I had heard from other bars that like, oh man, we don't let those kids in here anymore. Like they
Right.
cause a scene all the time. They bring cameras. We don't need that.
Yeah.
And so I was a little hesitant, but the producer, whoever it was, like said, hey, we'll keep an eye on them. Like, don't worry. But the cast people were fine, but I guess a boyfriend of the girl Sahar that was
Yes.
singing had come in town with his friends, and he had gotten plastered and caused a big scene, and it was a real pain in the butt. And I remember as soon as they left, like going over it and like grabbing the lady on the shoulder, like, hey, you'd be doing me a big favor if you didn't bring these people back.
These people are trash.
Like, keep them away. So yeah, I only brought it up. You still keep up with her, Sahar?
Yeah, we're still like Facebook, internet friends. We'll
Okay.
send little messages. I mean, she's a very sweet person.
Yeah, she was a good singer.
Yeah,
Like, there was-
she did her thing,
yeah.
and it was cool. I mean, obviously, in our brains, we're like, this is it. This is the break. I was like, I'm not talking to any of my old friends. Like, I can't wait to just be a total sellout. And then, like, and MTV was even like, hey, we want to not buy, but they were like, if any of your music appears on a thing, we have the rights to all of your catalog for the rest of the time, like 50% of your music catalog. And I was like, this is ridiculous. You know, as a young band, too, it's like, you don't know. So I talked to my buddy. He's like, no, you don't have to do that. So I kind of realized, like, her whole storyline was based around her coming to Tipitina's and singing. You know, like, it was the whole, like, you know, Cinderella, you know, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
she does her thing. So I knew that footage was valuable to them, and they'd already shot everything. So I'm like, I'm not giving you any rights.
Yeah.
Like, this is our music. Like, you know, if this pops off, great, but you don't deserve that. I mean, it was just such a ridiculous ask, and, you know, not to talk about MTV or whatever. I mean, but it was such a move to pull on, like, a 23-year-old that doesn't know anything about the music business.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was like, oh, I need to keep my guard up you know, at all
It's
times.
like, maybe we do need a manager.
We might need
I
a
might
manager.
be in over
You
my
know,
head.
I don't
yeah.
know apparently. So, but I knew enough to be like, I'm not giving you half my catalog the rest
No,
of
no,
the
no.
time. Who are you people?
No, I mean, I understand, like, paying for the rights to whatever
course.
song, that one song.
That one song,
Yeah.
no problem. And like, yeah, you are giving us tremendous exposure, so I get it. But come on now.
No, that seems strange. Mannie Fresh,
Right.
working with Mannie Fresh. I know that you've been asked this 1,000 times, but I feel obligated
No,
because it is that
love
big of a
talking
deal.
about it.
So for the album Boss that came out 2016?
2017, yeah.
2017, okay, 2017. Yeah. I mean, how did it work? From what I understand, it was only going to be a song or two.
Right.
But it just blew up from there? How'd that
Yeah,
happen?
it was really strange. Our manager at the time, I love saying that. Our manager at the time.
Yeah, yeah. How many managers have you guys
It's
had?
been a lot. I mean, we've been around for 15 years. So, as Kermit Ruffin says, you know, when I asked him, I was like, how long should you keep a manager? And he goes, day to day. Day to day, baby. So, I kind of have that philosophy. But, no, actually, Alex Bowen is a great dude, and he's now the
I love Bowen.
Yeah,
He's
the talent
great.
buyer
Yeah.
at the Fillmore, and amazing person.
Good
And,
guy,
yeah,
good
he
guy.
did a lot of stuff for us, so always be grateful for that, especially with the Mannie Fresh stuff. So his buddy was the manager of Mannie Fresh, and we were like, man, like Alex was like, who was like a guy you'd love to work with? You know, growing up in New Orleans, all the Cash Money stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we love Mannie Fresh's music, his production, and we kind of wanted to make an album that was like us, but produced in like a hip hop way where almost all of our stuff would become like samples, and he could just take it and, you know.
Well, that's something, you know, I'm going to jump in real quick.
Sure.
Y'all's music is not hip hop. I mean, there
Right,
are hip hop elements sometimes with the lyrics and everything else, but you guys are a funk band. You're a little jazzy. You got some calypso and Latin
Right.
feels like. But more than anything else, I would say you're a party band. Like,
Yeah.
I know you know, that's kind of all encompassing in a lot of different ways. It does.
Yeah, I like
you
feel
could
good
be-
music, you know.
Yeah, you could be dressed like Bag of Donuts. They're a party band, you know.
Right,
But,
yeah.
but I wouldn't call them a funk band or
Right,
anything
right,
else. They
of
can
course.
play it, whatever. But you guys are a party band.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hip hop is a party without a doubt.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Mannie Fresh has some of the best party
He's a
anthems
party,
of all
yeah.
time. Yeah.
He's the party. Yeah, no, for sure. And it's definitely that upbeat vibe that we're always going after. So, like you said, we were just going to do one song with him, and we recorded it, and we really loved the process. And we're like, man, he had a good time too, which was,
Yeah.
you know, super important. And I think it was just a different project that he had really never worked with like a full band before. You know,
Was that the first time he had worked with a full band?
I'm not exactly sure, but I mean, most of the stuff is like just samples or like things he would come up with on his own. And you know, it was interesting to see him deal with like a guitarist being like, well, that's like not my whole solo. He's like, I'm just gonna take that one note, and that's all we need. You know, so it was just a very
we need a hook. We don't need a solo. band.
right.
We're not
and-
melting
and,
faces.
You
here.
know, we're always like, you know, want to do so much. And it was just a really good learning experience. It was super cool. So then we ended up being like, well, let's just do a full-length album. And he had some time, and it was just so professional and down to earth. And it was just one of those things where it was like, man, like this is a great, once again, like the Toussaint thing, like another awesome learning experience
Yeah.
where even if this ends tomorrow, you know, holy shit, we did an album with Mannie Fresh, and that was just such a good time.
Oh, that's massive.
Yeah.
Where did y'all record that?
We recorded that at the Parlor, actually, down the
Oh,
street.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that was before we built our studio. And, yeah, the Parlor is so nice. I think they just sold it recently or something.
I had heard that.
Yeah.
I had heard that.
But, yeah, just great great studio. And kind of let us explore. Like I said, we came in, the songs were already written, but then we played it for him, and he'd be like, take all that out.
You never worked with an outside producer before,
and well, we had worked with John Snyder. He was the Loyola University head of the music department, who was awesome. Worked with Etta James and all these people, and that was a good experience. But that was, he was used to working with bands. I mean, he was used to like crafting.
Okay.
But Manny's approach was just more like he's a DJ, you know. So it's like he's just cutting and pasting and then putting it together. But the cool thing was, it was like all of our live takes, but it was just this melding of these two different worlds, and that's what I wanted, you know. Honestly, was just to have that more of like a DJ produced sound, almost like a Sublime record, where it's like there's a live stuff going on, but then there's these little clips and you know, different, I guess, samples, you know, just very sample driven, you know. But everything became a sample. Like the drums became a sample.
Yeah.
My voice became a sample. So it was interesting.
No, I mean, the album's phenomenal. There's a lot of good songs on there. Was that,
Thank you.
after doing that, though, is that what made you guys decide to start your own, or open your own studio, your own space in the East?
I think that's always been in the back of our mind, like we really need to get our own space, because we were at Fontainebleau for a while, and different you know, places around town, and you just kind of get to the point where you're like, every time we come in here, we gotta set it up. You know, it takes an hour to set up the PA. You
want something that's yours, right?
Just to where you can go in, turn the key, and it's like, all right, you're ready to do this. So I mean, that's how I would always approach practices. Like, I'd get there like an hour before to set up, so when everyone came, we're ready to go, and it's not this like, you almost lose your creative juice if you have to like set up everything. So I mean,
yeah, I mean, even something where it's 2 channels with 2 microphones, and all you have to do is turn it on, but Ace doesn't know how to do that. And
Ace, thanks so much. We got it rolling. No, it is. It's just it's an extra hurdle to creativity, and you're like, man, if we don't have to deal with that. So, but I think working in the studio is like, that's the one area where we're such a live band.
Yeah.
We're always on the road, and so we just wanted to be able to, you know, use a studio, have a space to be creative. So that was definitely in the background, but.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, so Downman Studios out in the East. And it's a place where, if anyone doesn't know, like, you guys let other bands rehearse and record there, too, as well. So
yeah, we've always wanted to be, I mean, New Orleans has that open community vibe where it's not as cutthroat as, like, New York or what I imagine, like, Nashville is. It's like, I mean, you could go to the Maple Leaf on Monday night, have a conversation with George Porter, like, during a set break, and just get these knowledge pearls, you know, out of nowhere. And it's amazing. Johnny Vodakovich, I mean, there's so many, you know, legends, thankfully, like, when we were coming up, that we could, down in Toussaint, I mean, they were just around and they could just show you the ropes. So we really benefited from that. So that's always been the impetus for the studio, is just have a place where bands can come together. And we've worked with people that, you know, record in the background, like, hey, come jump on this track real quick. So
no, man, this is a legitimate music community. And I'll quote Hank Staples every day almost, that New Orleans has one band to 3,000 members, you know. So true. I mean, it is very much a working community. I was talking with, you know, Howie Kaplan for a while from the Howlin' Wolf. I mean, he's all about it, like the community and the way that, you know, businesses like us and them, like, people consider us rivals. Like, no, what's good for one of us is good for both of us. Like,
Definitely.
We're all in the same game,
Right.
fighting the same fight. So, you know, it's the same way with musicians.
Of
like
course.
you said, the Revivalists, you guys coming back and forth, like, could have literally just been a stroke of luck that their number got called before yours. Whatever.
Of course.
You know.
And like, to take nothing away from those guys, like, they're super talented, you know, amazing
No,
musicians.
but I mean, it's the
great
same
but
story.
It's the same thing. I mean, Johnny's catching the dirt notes. Those guys should be.
They're the greatest band in the history of all
greatest
time.
band in the history of all time. I mean,
you struck a nerve right there,
Right.
Casey.
No, those guys, and it's this continuum of bands that, like, reach down, and, like, I remember playing an opening for them in Hattiesburg one time, and I was like, just the fact that they let us open for them, it was huge. And it's just one of those things where it is this community, and these things do need to be passed down, and luckily New Orleans kind of always has that welcoming. Like, I think the only requirement in New Orleans is, like, don't be an asshole. Like,
Yeah.
like,
but if you're an asshole, you better be really good.
you better,
really
be funny,
really good.
or really good. Exactly. Yeah, if you are, you got to bring something to the table. But no, I mean, it's a very open and inviting community. So it's just it's a pleasure to get to have known the people. I mean, even get, you know, staff at Tipitina's, you know, being your friend. Like, it's just, you know, it's wonderful.
No, man, it's a well, yeah. I wouldn't want to do this anywhere else.
No,
you know, in any other city.
It wouldn't be worth it.
It just wouldn't work. You guys have been pretty busy. You know, we mentioned we try to keep this timeless.
Sure.
You know, I hate talking about just, you know, lamenting about how we can't do regular shows or anything like that. You guys have stayed relatively busy, in, I don't know more than other bands one way or another, but you have been able to play a couple of shows in front of actual human beings, which is fun.
It's been nice.
But also, you guys, like you said, we're talking about Downman Studios. Like, you have a space where you get to go and mess around and record or do this, or more specifically, like, come up with some new ideas or some new ventures. And I want to ask you this: who's a little sleepy?
Oh, a little sleepy?
A little sleepy.
little sleepy. So one of the ideas we had were like, well, why don't we just do like a Flow Tribe TV show? And so, yeah, one of the characters I played this like Post Malone ripoff called Little Sleepy, and it was just like this character. Basically, he's this rapper that like you don't know like is he on drugs? Like why is he so sleepy?
No, the everything about and Tanner, go to the 2-shot for this. And Nick, do we have your permission to use a photo of Little Sleepy?
Of course.
All right,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
gonna put it right here above our heads. Show Little Sleepy to the
Right,
people,
give me
Nick.
some
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, so it's just a very dumb idea. I mean, we spent so much time together in the van. We just come up with these ridiculous ideas that we just beat to death.
Marijuana has a factor, I guess. Yeah,
that is
like you
true.
said before.
That's
Yeah.
true. So, yeah, you got a lot of time to kill. So we always had these little skits and ideas like that. And during the, coronavirus, we're like, well, what can we do? Let's really try to use the studio. So we did, a lot of live streams and different things like that. But yeah, so we've been working on this Flow Tribe TV thing. It's been a lot of fun and a little sleepy. I also have a character called Tony Angel Hair, which is fun. So, it's just an excuse to get together and act ridiculous. And, I just love, like, the Post Malone type rap, Lil Xan. Like, I was like, who are these people?
Yeah.
And Lil Sleepy is kind of, in that vein. So.
No, it's a riot. I definitely have seen, the music videos and just at least that episode of Flow Tribe TV that I saw was so hilarious.
Thank you so much. Everybody in the band is funny. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah,
so.
like I said, you guys are a party band,
Right.
but you guys are all silly guys.
Right,
too.
we take the music seriously, but we don't take
Yeah,
ourselves.
nothing is sacred in
No.
the Flow Tribe world,
We
which
don't
is
care.
which is apparently clear.
We really don't care. Yeah.
But I love it because it's just one more thing. I mean, everything from making fun videos with your buddies in the band, but it's not necessarily a new thing. Like even just putting on the leisure suits and the clothes
Yeah.
you guys wear, and when you used to wear that silly hat.
Wool cap. Never decide to wear a wool hat. And when you
No.
play in the South or New Orleans, I mean, I had to wear that thing. I didn't have to.
You didn't have to. That's why
That was a choice.
I brought it up because I want to know why you stuck with it so
I
hard.
don't know. I think honestly, like starting out, it was just like, well, if I always wear this hat, then people will kind of know this band, just be like a little signature thing. And then, yeah, like 6 years in, that thing was so gross. Just like, people are like, bring back the hat. I'm like,
It's like,
that hat
dude,
is never
I'm
coming
using
back.
a comfortable fedora now.
Right, yeah, just a nice, little fedora. But yeah, that thing was gross. And it was wool, so I mean, I would sweat so much.
Yeah.
It was just bad.
Just making it
recipe.
harder for yourself.
Right, I was like, why am I doing this? But
I mean, did you make the conscious effort early on, like, hey, we're not just going to wear jeans and T-shirts.
Right.
Like, let's do something fun.
Let's do something.
So, they're enjoying us visibly before they hear a note. There's
exactly,
okay.
yeah, they want to. I don't remember who said it or something, but it was like, if we took the time to kind of dress up, and then people would be like, oh, well, these guys give a little bit of a, you know what I mean? Like, so it was almost like. You want to look good, you sound good. It was kind of that vibe. Now, I don't know if the Mardi Gras hat looked good, but it was just part of the overall, like, we're having a good time.
No, you're not going to forget it. Like you said,
Right.
like it's almost like a shtick or whatever.
Right. It was a little something to be like, this can separate us, from the rest of, I mean, what was going on back then. So,
Yeah.
Whatever.
Something else that you guys did, which I know a couple of bands like Sweet Crude, I think, did it as well. There's a handful of others dropping an album during a quarantine when you can't go out to promote the album. Was it? I mean, how long did you guys wait to decide and be like, let's just pull the trigger? Because obviously you had recorded the bulk of it
Right.
long before there was a pandemic.
Definitely. And I mean, our plan was to tour, behind that. That's normally you release an album and then.
Lotteria Cosmica. sorry.
Lotteria Cosmica,
We didn't even
true.
say it. I'm
Available
sorry.
now.
Again, put the graphic of,
right there.
the album cover.
But yeah, it was just one of those things where we had it ready to go, and we're like, well, we were already writing new songs, and we kind of just wanted to get it out in the pipeline because we're like, I don't know how long this thing is going to last. I mean, initially, we thought it would be like a month or whatever. And so as time kept going by, we're like, there's never going to be a great time to release it, but at least we'll give people something that they can listen to during this time. And yeah, there just was no real end in sight or really no good blueprint. I mean, everyone we talked to from, larger bands and different things like that, they're like, we don't know. Like, we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So we were like, all right, well, let's just release it. And then, Because in the meantime, we were getting together, at the studio record. We basically have a whole nother album like ready to go.
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys probably have enough material for a backup to that one already.
Right, we're ready. But I think we were gonna sit on that for a little bit. But it's just one of those things where we might as well put it out, like and then hopefully that'll keep people's interest. And,
Well, there's something about that one too, and I correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys never really had a whole lot of special guests on an album, but that one has P.J. Morton and Mike Dillon and Chris Royal.
Yeah.
And is there anyone else that's special guest on there?
I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. But
okay.
Yeah, no, that was a situation where that was the first album we produced at our studio, so we just had the time to be like, yeah, just call him, like, just see what. This is a different thing. Normally when you're recording an album, you have to worry about studio time, and that's a cost. So eliminating that was fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of times, Galactic's first album, they recorded in 2 days, 2 10-hour days or whatever. Like,
right, yeah.
That happens very often because it's expensive to rent a studio.
For sure.
So,
having that freedom to kind of take your time with it did allow us to bring in some other people. And anytime, the way that I look at it is when you're recording an album, you want the best possible sound that you can get. And then for the rest of your life, you're going to be playing these songs. So if you can obviously you need your band to play the songs and to be featured on the album. But, I'll bring in outside horn players and do whatever just to be like, well, this is the sound I want, and I can only capture this by getting certain people and whatever. But, we're going to be playing these songs forever. So, look, get over it.
No, for sure. Well, the album's good. I haven't listened to the whole thing, but I downloaded a couple songs. It's really good.
Nice, thank you.
But it sticks. It's just one of those things where it goes to the overall progression of how you guys have just consistently gotten better over time. So, and you can tell that you had the time to create something that you really liked as well. Not that Mannie Fresh doesn't do a good job
too. But that was that was like, okay, we have 2 days, like we had 3 days of Mannie Fresh. And so it was like, we gotta, get in there and get after it. But like you said, just having that time to create was nice. So.
Yeah. We talked about, the silly fun look sometimes. Who is the best dresser in the band?
Oof. Brian Santos, hands down.
Is that for real?
I mean, the Cuban flair. It's just, you can't. Anytime I'll be like, oh, I look great. And I'll show up and he's like wearing gator shoes. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to compete with this.
So no hesitation there.
No hesitation. Great style. He's got the great hair. This is just, Italian Brillo pad. Like, that's why I wear hats on stage. But yeah, he's got the flowing hair, Latin heartthrob, and he looks the youngest out of all of us.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, he's the only one that could probably still pass for a college kid.
Right, yeah, at this point, unless I'm wearing sunglasses, people are like, oh, jeez, this guy looks like a catcher's mitt.
No, come on, man. You're a few years younger than me.
Don't say that.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I know that Chad isn't a full-time member of the band anymore, since that is another one of the sad things about the pandemic, that you're not busy enough to stay in the band, so we ultimately went back to being full-time as a fireman. He was always full-time as a fireman?
He was always full-time. I think he got a promotion, and so it was just a lot more unexpected things would come up. And we love Chad. He's obviously always going to be like a member of the band, but it just got to a point where they're just conflicts, scheduling conflicts and what have you. So, the desire on his part was always there. He always made the extra effort, and, we love him. But, this is my number one priority. So, you got to have the time to do it. And the pandemic.
Well, yeah, absolutely. He's wonderful. And one thing I wanted to bring out, just because, again, we mentioned the silly hat or the silly outfits or whatever else, or just the fun, silly attitude in general of everyone having fun. But sometimes it is accompanied with silly facial hair as well. And I would say Chad has one of the best mustaches in the game.
I used to say best in the South.
It's
he hasn't been in a contest.
It's comparable to, it's in the tops. Around town, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better mustache than Chad's.
Maybe on Bourbon Street, but that's about it.
But I want to ask you, where does Mario get off growing that thing on his lip when he had Chad right there showing up?
It's a bold move.
Yeah.
It's a bold move. Yeah. Chad has a very, full whisker, full stash. And Mario has this gross, trailer trash goatee thing going on. So.
Yeah, I wonder sometimes.
Mario's just so full of confidence.
I was going to say, but he knows what it looks like, right?
Right. Do you have a mirror? Do you have access to a mirror?
I'm sorry, Mario.
No, God bless him. No,
when you're standing 10 feet away from that mustache, you got to be embarrassed about it.
That's really why Chad got fired. I don't want to say it, but it was that, mustache envy.
Yeah, just too goddamn
boiled
good.
Boiled over.
Goddamn good. So something else, like we said, John Michael Early also was not from Brother Martin, but you guys were friends with him, and he went. Where did he go to high school?
He went to Jesuit.
All right. Was he with y'all back while you were in high school? Was he in the band back then? Because he doesn't, I know he plays keys a little bit, and he plays the rub board, and he plays harmonica.
Right.
Was he wasn't part of the original lineup, though?
No,
huh?
I mean, because his friend, Robert Bruce, was like our initial manager. So, I mean, manager. He got T-shirts made. That's all it took. But he was the guy that got us the Friar Tuck's, Friar Tuck's gigs. And so I remember the first gig, I was like, hey, we want to play Last Dance with Mary Jane. I know you play harmonica. Like, do you want to sit in on that? And so he did that. And I remember he brought like 80 people. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, maybe come back next week.
Yeah, totally.
So, but no, he's always, I mean, he brings a lot to the band too. I mean, like you said, he's kind of a utility man. He does a lot of different things.
Well, more than anything else, he's got the moves.
He's got the moves. I mean,
whatever he's not filling in with music, he's filling in the eyeballs.
That's right.
Sure.
Those hips don't lie. So no, he brings a lot of intangibles to the situation.
Well, I was gonna say, is he the best dancer in Flow Tribe?
I mean,
Because I know that you
Tank.
guys can put up a fight. I know that.
I'm no slouch, but no, he definitely has the. I'm more of a reactionary. I think he's feeling it. He's going with it. I'm just kind of
All right.
herky jerky. But it's a good time. So. Do people still say herky jerky? I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I don't know. It's not that old timey. Although we'll ask Ace. Ace, do you have your microphone on?
Ace,
It's okay. Don't worry about
We'll
it.
get back to you.
Do you remember the first time playing at Tipitina's?
Yes, for sure. I think it was a homegrown night.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. And our friend Marlene Otero was working here at the time.
I remember Marlene.
Yeah.
I've forgotten about Marlene.
Sweetheart.
Yeah.
And she got us on that. And I just remember, obviously, I mean, when you're first starting out, the even idea of playing at Tips is so daunting and everything else. But yeah, I just remember being like, holy shit, like we actually did this. And great time. And that was just such a good vibe. And yeah, ever since then.
How'd it go?
It was good.
Was it? All right.
Yeah, it was good. I think we had a really solid crowd. And they were like, all right, well, you guys can come back. We'll give you guys like an opening slot or something.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think we maybe opened for Gravy or something back then. So.
Yeah, I don't remember if I was that. I feel like it might have been a homegrown or just a sport time. I'm trying to think of the first time I saw y'all. But this isn't about me. So
let's get into it.
Yeah, no. It's okay. Yeah, we already talked about some of the more notable, poignant moments, at least, of you playing at Tips. The getting nervous before gigs, I wanted to bring that up again. Like, is that something that, do you like that? Like, some people say the nerves, some people say, oh, man, it tightens me up, or I can't be loose, but quite the opposite. Like, It gives you that nervous energy to explode.
Yeah, I mean, now it's just more like anticipation. It's not so much like it's so much muscle memory now to where it's like, okay, I know what I'm gonna do. Like I got the songs ready and ready to go. But yeah, it's just like wanting to get up there. It's kind of like a horse, waiting for that gate to open.
For sure. Well, I know that since you guys have that studio, you guys are in there a lot every week, at least, probably all together playing something. So you guys don't feel like you've even lost a step, huh? So I know some bands have been like, oh man, we don't get together nearly as much, or without hitting the road, like we're starting to lose our chops a little bit, or at least maybe they're not actually doing it, but in their head, they're starting to worry that they are.
I mean, it's definitely different playing a live show than it is practicing, and even doing like a live stream. But for some reason, I mean, it's been tough. It's like, are you still a band if you're not playing shows? Does a tree fall in the forest? That whole that whole chestnut. But so it's a weird time, and I mean, I have seen a lot of bands just kind of drift apart, or different things happen to where they're like, well, we're not getting together, and maybe I need to get a different job. I mean, for me, it's like, I've been through ups and downs in the music business to where I get it, and it's like, look, I know what I need to do to have this life and to be successful at it, so I'm fine with it. And luckily we have gotten like a PPP loan, and like that helped and stuff. But yeah, it's tough without having the glue of the live shows and driving in the van and that camaraderie. It is tough to kind of keep everybody on the same page. But luckily the studio, I think having the studio as a hub for creativity, it helps us like check in and be like, okay, here's what's up.
Aside from Chad, has anyone else just been taking on other jobs just to fill their time?
Not really. Mario Well, Mario went to California for like 5 months to learn how to make wine. So
For real.
that,
All right.
that was cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting. And like I said, I mean, I remember him like talking to the band. He's like, guys, I don't want to leave if there's like, dude, there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
I mean, we may have had like
Like,
1 or 2 shows.
Come home. We'll tell you in advance
Right,
if we
exactly.
have a show. Yeah.
1 or 2 shows a month, and we had Paul Pravasti, great guitar player, fill in for Mario, and that was fun to just kind of mix it up with somebody else. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I love Mario. As my, I can't say enough good things about Mario.
Yeah.
And he's
except for the mustache.
Except for the stash.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, just wonderful human being and an incredible musician. So beyond that, there's been times where like different people be like, I don't know, like freaked out with the COVID stuff, like I'm gonna take off 2 weeks or whatever, and it's like that's totally understandable. I mean, we all get this is unprecedented times, and however people want to respond to it, like we respect that. And
Yeah.
do your thing. I mean, and I also try to be as safe as possible, but
Yeah, no, for sure. Absolutely. Well, I mean, I still enjoy what you guys are doing. Absolutely.
yeah, thank you.
Something that I had heard through doing some of this homework for this interview, your grandfather was in the bar business.
Yes.
And buddies with Louis Prima, is that real?
That's correct. Yeah.
Is that, okay, where? What bar? What?
He had.
Tell me more.
Yeah,
Do all the
no.
elaboration now.
Sure.
You talk.
I'm
Yeah.
so glad. Yeah, H.C. Strapolo, that's my guy. So, yeah, my grandfather owned a bar on Rampart and Melpomene, which I guess is now Martin Luther King. Rampart and Martin
Yeah,
Luther
on that side
King.
of St. Charles, yeah.
Yeah. So it's Central City. It's called Pete the Fish Fry King, which is a great name for a bar.
Yeah, no, that's a great name.
That
yeah,
was
for
his
sure.
dad's name. And they used to, Yakamine, all this stuff. He had illegal gambling in the back. I mean, just classic
Nice.
Italian.
That
New
good
Orleans.
Italian
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Just skimming. It was a bookie. Did his whole thing. But yeah, Louis Prima would come through the bar, and they were boys and stuff like that. And my grandpa would always go to Vegas like every 2 months, and they would go see them at like the Sahara and
That's
stuff.
great,
like that.
man.
So I mean, it's great. Fats Domino. I mean, his bar was in a predominantly black neighborhood, so there was like Fats would come in. Irma Thomas. He also owned a bowling alley at one point. Irma Thomas.
No kidding.
Lorraine's bowling alley. I'm not sure where that was, but yeah, just this classic like New Orleans, raconteur kind of guy. And
That's awesome.
yeah, great dude. He passed. I mean, he was 95, like when he passed away, like 4 years ago. But I mean, he's my, he's definitely like I model a lot of my self.
Are
after
you a
him.
big Louis Prima fan?
Oh
at
my
all?
God, yeah. Louis
All right.
Prima,
Do you have a
yeah.
favorite Louis Prima song?
Oh man, I mean, there's so many good ones. I would say, Bonacera is great, but yeah, Jump Jive and Whale. I mean, Just a Gigolo. There's just.
All right. Well, follow this. Hey, compadre. All right, never mind.
Wait. Which one is that?
That's the. It's gonna be tricky. I don't remember the name of the song. That's
Okay,
just the
gotcha.
first words. It's the toot 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 saxophone toot toot toot. The.
Please don't squeeze a banana. Maybe.
No, we're gonna have to cut that out.
Well, yeah, that's fine.
We'll edit all that stuff. Don't worry.
gone.
Don't worry
It's gone,
for a
baby.
second. Something I wanted to bring up, something that you probably don't miss about having to be on the road, and I know this is happened to a bunch of New Orleans bands, but getting y'all shit stolen out of your trailer.
Yeah, it's happened 3 times.
Has that happened 3 times?
I think so. I mean, San Francisco, we had our trailer broken into in New Orleans. Was there another time? I feel like some.
Yeah, I remember hearing about the California one
Yeah.
and the one locally.
Right.
But
Maybe there wasn't. I don't know. Maybe that was just carelessness.
well, I mean, is that? What are your recommendations to young bands about how not to get your stuff
Just
stolen?
keep it in a good area, a well lit area, and make sure. I mean, the locks that we had on our trailer were ridiculous. I mean, it was those crazy locks that go over the, I don't know what you call it, but like basically cover the entire.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be able to hit it with bolt cutters.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I think somebody took like a blowtorch or something to like the side handle of it. I don't know. I mean, it was insane. I guess they used bolt cutters too, but yeah, that was in Mid City, which was in like a relatively safe
You gotta do
neighborhood.
it backed up to a wall or something,
just
right?
always back up to a wall. If you're at a Motel 6, get up against that hedge. You want to get right up against that hedge. But I mean, it's unfortunate that those things are. People just see like, okay, a white van and a trailer, like it's gonna be some musical equipment, but so many bands And especially in San Francisco, not to shit on San Francisco, but like there was,
Sucks, man. Yeah.
there was a ring, an organized crime ring that would go around and just smash windows, and we were literally eating at a restaurant at like noon, and like I went back to the van, and 10 minutes later they had stolen a bunch of
That's
all our
crazy,
stuff.
man.
So
That's crazy.
it was crazy, but luckily they took my clothes. And then I guess they went through it and they didn't find anything. And then they found like some pills, and they called. And then so some lady called a number at like the pharmacy in like New Orleans. They're like, "Hey, someone has your clothes in San Francisco." And I was like, "Awesome. Well, that's great. I'm glad you didn't take my Imodium."
Random phone call again.
I have IBS.
Yeah.
But I don't.
All right, man. Like I said,
Let's end with me pretending I have IBS.
Oh, we're not done yet. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
We're almost done. We're gonna wrap it up
fantastic.
real quickly, though.
Great.
But I just want to say before we do, like, yeah, man, I just love that every time Flow Tribe plays, it's a party. Or praise too.
Well, we pray all the time.
Yeah, when you pray, it's a party also. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, married a whole crew. Yeah, we have a great time. Allah,
No, man, you guys keep it fun, and that's something that I feel like we said, nothing is sacred. You don't take
Right.
yourselves too seriously.
Not
Like
at all.
the fun aspect is why people come out.
Yeah, and I think that we realize that too. And maybe some people are like, "Oh, fun! Like, is that what is that?" But to me, it's like I know how much work that we put into our music, and I know how much like time I take to think about the lyrics and to really make sure that like it's something. So I kind of use fun as like a Trojan horse, to where it's like we get people, and then like when they actually go and listen to the music, like, oh, there's content like here, like there's an actual substance, or they've thought about this stuff musically. And obviously, as you grow older and you become a better musician, you can do certain things to where you can just get your point across a little bit easier and a little bit more interesting. So that's what's always fun. Music is a challenge, and it's just not a challenge, but it's a very rewarding like struggle to be like, how can we do this differently? I mean, there's only so many chords, and so many songs.
You gotta find a way to make it your own, so you can go
Right.
from a tune that has Mannie Fresh on it to a Harry Belafonte tune.
Exactly, and like that's the and just to see if it works. And sometimes it works great with an audience, and sometimes like that didn't translate at all. But that's what's fun. I mean, you get to try out things, and just the fact that people, like I said earlier, they spend their time, and if you're gonna give me your time, then I'm gonna make sure you have the best time possible. So.
All right. Well, we're going to start wrapping it up. Okay. And if you've seen one of these before, that you know that we usually end it talking about po' boys. Wonderful. And since you're from JP, Jefferson Parish, let me ask you this. Here's a question.
Okay.
What's better, shortstop or parens?
Woo! I'm a shortstop guy.
Yeah?
I live in Old Jefferson, so
Okay.
I'm like 10 minutes away.
Well,
from
now
the
you do. That's
Let
what...
me just show you my love for shortstop real quick. This is a shortstop
Can
po'
you
boy.
get that, Tanner? Can you get that?
I'm close to getting my 12 free po' boys, so this is it's not a joke. I don't play games with
Do
them.
they have, what's the punch card? What is that?
The punch card is you get 12, you get a free one.
Oh, it's just one free one. I thought
Yeah.
you said you were going to get 12 free po' boys.
Oh,
I'm
wow,
like,
no.
sign me up for that
What a
program.
dream. No, so yeah, I got the punch card. I'm an official member.
All right. Well, so I assume shortstop is your go-to place then.
That is close. I mean, Scythers is close to me too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God.
Well, more specifically, like, good shout-outs for them for sure. What is Casey's? We asked this only because it came up, talking about Stanton over at Guys on Magazine, which I'm sure
Right.
you've been to before. The Bomb is his signature po' boy.
Okay.
He doesn't go there every week and get it or anything
Sure.
like that, but he came
You
up
didn't
with
have
it.
a punch card.
Yeah, exactly. They don't have. Yeah, Marvin, get on the punch card
Get on
action.
those
By the
cards.
way, do punch cards, but it's on the menu permanently. If you were going to have a permanent fixture on a menu that is your creation, what is the Casey, the O'Rourke,
Yeah,
or
the O'Rourke,
what's the little sleepy or the big
Oh,
sleepy?
Little Sleepy?
The big sleepy.
The Big Sleepy? Wow. I like a good fried oysters with
Okay.
a little provolone cheese. That sounds kind of gross, but it's good.
Well, I mean, it works sometimes. A lot of people will eschew the cheese with
the
seafood,
yeah,
but it can work.
It pops. And then pickles, obviously Louisiana or Crystal hot sauce.
Crystal hot sauce is the preferred hot sauce of Tipitina's.
That is.
We love you, Pepper.
We love you. Oh yeah, Pepper.
Yeah, you know?
Pepper. I mean, me and Pepper go way back. He used to do frat gigs. I guess it was up in Alabama.
All right.
Oh yeah, a lot of stories. But yeah, so a little bit of the old Crystal hot sauce, and if you want to get wild, put a little bacon on there. But
So fried oysters, provolone, bacon, and crystal,
And pickles, yeah.
and pickles.
Yeah.
That's a damn good po' boy.
It's a good one.
sounds good.
It's my go-to. That's what I get so many punches at shortstop with.
That's what they get.
Yeah,
You get it like that.
I get it like
so
that.
that's not a named po' boy. You have to ask for that specific.
Yeah. So they have the fried oyster. But
Yeah,
then,
obviously they have fried oyster.
like, hey, toss in a little bacon, a little cheese. Yeah.
Dude, that is your signature po' boy. Have you asked them about getting it on the menu
I
permanently?
would love to. I mean, there's a level of yatness that I'm almost at, but I'm not there yet. So, I mean, it's right there. I mean, 10 more years, I'll be able to be so bold
One
as
day,
to ask shortstop.
one day.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Linda over at shortstop.
You should reach out to them and be like, well, on the All Right broadcast,
Right.
we actually talked about this.
That's a
So
shout
now
out.
you must comply.
Linda, holler. Yeah.
Yeah, man, thank you so much.
That was
We're
great.
gonna wrap it up. But
Okay.
before we do, no one leaves empty-handed. You, Casey O'Rourke, are the
Oh.
recipient of a certificate suitable for framing.
Hell yeah.
If you wouldn't mind, go ahead and read that. Here's a folder so you don't lose it.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, read that on the mic.
We hereby certify that you, Casey O'Rourke, are officially awesome for being interviewed on this day, January 23rd, 2021, for absolutely no monetary compensation whatsoever. Congratulations, and you're welcome.
You
Thank
are welcome.
I appreciate it.
Dude, thank you so much. Casey O'Rourke from Flow Tribe. Thank you, man. Don't go anywhere. We're going to wrap it up real quick. Thank you so much for joining us here on the All Right broadcast. Thank you to Ace for being a good sport while we poke fun at him. Ace, you didn't talk one time, and you set up a microphone.
Okay, here I am.
We love
Okay,
you.
thank you, Ace, filling in for the great Pete Jones. That's why we pay him the big bucks. Did you run out of beer?
No,
Okay.
I still have beer.
Okay, still got beer. So we'll stick around. We're going to shut the cameras off, finish those beers, and finish smoking those cigarettes. Thank you to Tantan the
me.
Man upstairs for running the cameras. Thank you to Nick Logan for doing the editing. Sorry, I should have been looking at that camera the whole time, I guess. Or maybe it's on the two-shot. I don't know which one we're on. I'm going to keep going back and forth. But thank you so much to Casey O'Rourke. Thank you to Tipitina's for letting us use the space. Thank you to Nugs.net for allowing us to use the equipment. And I hope you enjoyed this on Tipitinas.tv. If you have any ideas for potential guests, and obviously it's not that we need the ideas. More specifically, we want you, those dozens of fans out there, to go ahead and start hitting up your favorite people of the music industry in New Orleans and saying, hey, how come I haven't seen you on the All Right broadcast? Hit them on the Twitter and the Instagram and the FaceSpace and all the stuff. I think that would be hilarious if all 17 of our fans started bothering random musicians
Oh,
to be
yeah.
on
We got
the
time. We got
program.
time.
Yeah, dude, we're not going to stop doing this anytime soon, I don't think, until the guys in Galactic tell me that we can't do it anymore. And more specifically, we drink all kinds of random stuff here. If you would like to sponsor the All Right broadcast, reach out to info@tipitinas.com. We want to get paid eventually for this, that's for sure.
Sure, of
Right?
course.
I mean,
Yeah,
why
that's
wouldn't
what
we?
it's all about.
Yeah, it would have been nice at some point. We're about 25 of these in. Started running off the rails a little bit. I killed that first bottle of scotch.
Boom, baby.
Did I say all the stuff? Did I say Tipitinas.tv?
I think so, yeah.
Did I say Nugs.net? Mm-hmm. And Tipitinas? And more specifically, Casey O'Rourke, and I said Tanner, Nick, and Ace. Thank you again, Ace. Appreciate it. The great Pete Jones will be back in town soon. Not that we're in a hurry. Ace is doing a fine job. But thank you so much for joining, and thank you, Casey.
Thank you, Tanner.
Enjoy it, man.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
You're the man.
Cheers.
Cheers.